everybody. I'm Rowan, and we are here for wonky the last about hour, and so I'm like, please don't do this to me right now. So we'll see how well we go tonight. Please don't do this to me right now. So we'll see how well we go tonight. So tonight's spiritual panel is an open panel, so please feel free to request to come up. We are talking about the astrological sign Taurus tonight. This is a spiritual safe place, so it is astrological sign Taurus tonight. This is a spiritual safe place, so it is perfectly okay to share your opinion. Just force your beliefs on others. That's all I ask, and no bullying in the comments. And welcome. I see Azrael's here. So, all right. Yes, we are going to talk about the astrological sign Taurus. So this is the 12-week series on the zodiac signs. So we did Aries last week. This week we're doing Taurus. And then next week we'll be doing Gemini. So it's kind of coming fast. Oh, I feel like I'm like right in the camera. So move that back just a bit so I don't feel so you guys are like looking right at me so closely. So welcome everybody. Please don't forget to give hearts. Always appreciate it. It bumps me up in the leagues so that people can find us. And just as a reminder, I am live on Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And other than that, please check the time zone with where you live. But remember, if you're following me, you will get notified anytime I go live. So, all right. With that said, let's jump in. Ready pop up tonight. So, all right. So, Taurus is the second astrological sign and it is between April 20th and May 20th. And it is represented by the bull. Its ruling planet is Venus. And Taurus, they are known for being very practical. They are reliable. They're typically grounded. They're stable. They value beauty and material comfort. They are also loyal and patient and determined. And then when we look at their challenges, they are very resistant to change and they are quite stubborn. So we actually have quite a few zodiac signs that are stubborn. And you know what? Stubbornness can sometimes be a good thing and sometimes it's not a good thing. So it really kind of depends on how you look at it. And I would say like the materialism, I've met a few Tauruses that they are so, they desire the materialism so much that they tend to, like, that's so important to them. But it's not all Tauruses, it's just a few of them. It really does depend on your ascension sign and your moon sign. So, and we're just talking about the sun sign, but I did kind of want to throw that out. So the element associated with Taurus is earth. So they are an earth element, and it's always good to have somebody that's an earth element because they help, especially like those of us that are fire signs, sometimes we need to be grounded a little bit. We need to have that. So it's always really good to have like those of us that are fire signs, sometimes we need to be grounded a little bit. We need to have that. So it's always really good to have a friend who is a Taurus. I've actually had quite a few friends who are Tauruses. So it is really nice to have have a Taurus as a friend. Um, so when we are looking at Tauruses in relationships, so this is romantic relationships, friendships, familiar relationships, and romantic relationships, friendships, familiar relationships, and also when we're looking at them as they pursue careers. Just not going right, they're the ones that are going to be able to kind of calm everybody down and just like be like, it's okay. It's going to come as it is supposed to. So they're really great to have around, especially as coworkers. They are reliable and determined and hardworking. The one really nice thing about their reliability is, like, I have, out of all my friends who are Tauruses, they are always early. So if they say we're going to meet you at 1, they will be there. They are always early. So if they say we're going to meet you at 1, they will be there 15 to 30 minutes early. So Tauruses are like really will be there 15 to 30 minutes early. So Tauruses are like really great when it comes to arriving early. So gotta love the Taurus. I always felt bad because no, I'm 10 minutes early. They're there before I am. Hi, Bren.
Hey,
How are you?
good. Looks like we're going to be talking about some bull tonight.
We are
Literally.
talking about the bull. And I was just talking, I've kind of go over a little bit of what I'm bringing up, but I was just talking about how they're reliable. And all of my friends who are Tauruses, they're always like, if they say we'll meet at 1 o'clock, they're there at like 12:30. And I'm always like 10 or 15 minutes early, but I always feel bad because they've been there 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes earlier than I am. Because they mean it. They will be there on time. So other strengths they have is they are hardworking, they are sensual, loyal, and practical. And this also comes with them being related to an earth element. So it does help to have those practical friends. Like our earth element friends are really great to have around. Again, like their challenges is that stubbornness and possessiveness. They tend to be drawn to careers that involve art and beauty, or anything that can provide financial security and stability. As a matter of fact, it was really funny. When I first started like kind of like looking into astrology, I was like in junior high, and the neighbor girl's father was a CPA, and yes, he was a Taurus. But so it was funny because like I was able to learn a lot of characteristics from watching her dad. They appreciate luxurious things and aesthetics, and they like that pleasing environment. And when we look at the bull is strength, steadfastness, and it's that grounding to the material world and to the earth, to our earth element. So those are just some of the highlights I wanted to share, and then I'll let Bren share his highlights because he not only does the Western, but he does the Vedic astrology. So like you're going to get both tonight, which I think is the best. And then we're just going to kind of chat about like dealing with them. And again, it's open panel. So Bren, go ahead. Feel free if you want to like say hello and everything first before you jump into Taurus.
I think I'd rather just jump in and be all, Olay!
Oh, I should have grabbed a piece of red fabric.
Exactly. And make like be made of velvet. Ooh. So, Taurus. It is, of all the signs, it is the only sign that is ruled by both a luminary and a planet, like a celestial body, because luminaries are the sun and the moon. So it's the moon and Venus both. And if you're wondering, well, how does moon have any kind of rulership or dominion over it? Well, when you look at the constellations within Taurus, there's 3. There is Kritika, there is Rohini, and then there is Mixra. Now, Moon considers from the degree of exactly when Rohini starts in Taurus, all the way up until the end of Taurus. Moon considers that her office, where she feels most comfortable and where she owns. Yes, she does have rulership over Cancer, but her office, where she feels the most at home, is in Taurus, and specifically at those degrees. So with that in mind, what can we even also say about Taurus? Taurus is a very potent feminine sign, because both the ruling planets associated to it are both feminine planets. Moon is feminine, Venus is feminine. So it has two ruling feminine planets associated with it. If we're going to be even more technical, it would also have the energy of Sun for Kritika. Again, Rohini would be Moon. But then for Mixra, that would be Mars. So you can kind of see for that, you're thinking like, okay, so it has the energies of the Sun, the Moon, and then Mars within the way that it expresses itself. So with the part of Taurus that is for Kritika, that is where you can see somebody use something like a blade. Culinary artists, you can see with that. Hairdressers, you can see with that. You can even also see hedge trimmers, like how people like trim the hedges and make it look like a something. That's also Kritika. But it's also, again, culinary arts. It's also anything that is like chopping, but then it's also deeply associated with Agni, the fire, like the fire deva. So you can see them use a lot of fire in terms of like how they're expressing themselves. So they can be pretty loud and a lot of heat behind it. But it's also, again, because it's Kritika, being represented by a machete or a razor, it goes cut. Then Rohini, this is where we have the expression of Taurus, where Rohini, you're probably thinking, oh, it's Moon's favorite wife. It must be symbolized by a beautiful, majestic, divine woman. No, it's symbolized by a chariot. Hong Kong Phooey. Okay, guys, you're in some big trouble. Like, that is the reason why, because the Moon, her vehicle is the chariot. That's her vehicle. So Rohini, being a chariot, you're taking Moon, you're putting her in her vehicle. So that's why she can go really fast. But Rohini is all about the things that are beautiful, the most sensual, the most pleasing, the most like aesthetically like captivating. And it's the highest grade tier of artistic expression, wealth, artistic expression, wealth, the study of beauty and the whatnot. Anything that involves the face, that's also Rohini. And it's also can also be a little bit spiteful too, because of that part of Taurus doesn't get the recognition. Well, Rohini would come in and just be all, let's look at me instead. I'm more beautiful. Don't look at them. Because the youngest wife, Rohini, that's also why. Then the last energy is Mixra, which is the fawn. Now Mixra is the part of Taurus. Well, if it's in the Taurus part, that's as far as I'm going to go. That is the part of Taurus where it is heavily associated with anything pertaining to cologne, perfume design, and pheromone creation, and using that. But also the Taurus part of Mixra is all about attracting. It's all about woozy wooing, because again, you're on the Taurus side instead of the Gemini side of it. So the Taurus side of Mixra is going to just sit there, not do anything, but is able to get people hooked on them because of that. And if they want something, they will go pursue it. Like Hong Kong Phooey, like, I want this, give it. But it's also heavily associated with Parvati Devi, who is the spouse figure of Mahadev Lord Shiva. So that is a good, big, huge chunk of the Vedic part. But now let's go into something that's more like, okay, we can make sense of this. So Taurus is the natural second house. What the heck's the second house? Well, if we're going to be looking at it from an animal, uh, a anatomy focused lens, Taurus is, well, it is your, essentially you have the forehead and it goes all the way down until the end of your throat. So that whole, like, right at the top of the forehead all the way down to like where it becomes like in the middle where the Adam's apple is at. All of that, that's Taurus. So it's your ears, your nose, your eyes, your tongue, your mouth, your throat, your tongue, your mouth, your throat. Throw that in there. So what can we also say that is another thing about Taurus? Taurus, wherever Taurus is at, something related to that house is going to affect how your physical appearance, face-wise, is going to be most attuned to. For an example, my sign of Taurus is in my fourth house. That's the heart space. If I'm not secure, I'm going to look like a hot mess. If I'm not content, I'm going to look like a hot mess. If I'm at peace, okay, the hair's in a knot all over the place is a hot mess. But the second house, being of Taurus, is also the sign of the wealth that you have that is tangible and is sustainable. Because, again, it's the bull. And another side note thing for a fun fact. In India, there is a specific species of bull that is considered sacred. And if you were to raise your hand against one of those bulls, you would be in deep oops. I'm just saying, don't do it. Because to them, there is Nandi the bull, who is one of Mahadev's, Lord Shiva's most trusted friends. That bull is like his companion in that regard. But Taurus is also the sign that that is doing the everyday plowing work, going out there in the fields, just going pull, like getting everything prepared, the foundation for everything, and being able to sustain it. So, with that, Taurus can also be an indication of a sign, depending on where it's placed. If you neglect where that Taurus sign is at, if you don't be doing things on a daily routinely thing like plowing the field, doing something over and over again so something can grow, you might get stagnant and it might be crippled for a while. So it requires a lot of dutiful work. So another thing about Taurus, it is not only, again, the most feminine sign of all of them, having two feminine ruling planets, but it is also a sign that is deceptively financially savvy. But not like for financially savvy as in like for being strategic. Like, they know how to do appraisal. Taurus excels in appraisal because they're able to see the tangible piece and be able to understand that, okay, so this specific ruby, how it's cut, how it's shaped, how it's faceted, the weight, they're able to see the value in it and then be able to appraise it. That's another really great profession for Tauruses. Of course, interior design, culinary arts, cosmetic design. You gotta be a little bit more luxurious, because Taurus wants not the basic, like, okay, you have a basic cotton sheet. No. They want something like a velvet sheet. Pure velvet, because that is high quality. And even if you really want to be extra fancy, like what is that silk? I think it comes from China, that is made by the silkworms. I think that's what it is. Yeah, that kind of silk, that is what a Taurus will be about. Yeah, that was my spiel of Taurus.
Yes, they love that kind of thing. They also love security. As a matter of fact, like I laugh. One of my friends who happens to be a Taurus, her husband is just um As a matter of fact, like I laugh. One of my friends who happens to be a Taurus, her husband is just um, right, and he does not provide financial security. She's like the one that provides it, but you can tell it at like they've been married for a very long time, but it is hilarious because you can tell that it really bothers her that he just kind of goes from job to job to job and just doesn't care, you know. Luxury. So
Mm-hmm.
let's
Yep.
see.
And
Okay, so we have some of these. What is it?
my other half, he's like right on the cusp of Aries Taurus. And I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Initiative sometimes is okay. He has great initiative. Sometimes when he takes initiative towards something, it's sometimes like you're going after something and now you're being stubborn about it because you didn't get it and now you're having your moment. Okay. So you want me to carry it? Okay, fine. Not the first time I've done it. Because yeah, I'm the security one. Go figure. But I signed up for it. Go figure. But I signed up for it.
To work with our partners, our friends, our family when they're different signs. Um,
Yep.
you know, like I hear all the time people say Aries and Cancer aren't compatible, and my husband's a Cancer, and like we
Yeah,
have
I
no
mean they are
issues. Like
they
we
are
really seriously.
they are very compatible because you're having. Here's a good way to look at it. You're having Mars, the soldier, and then you're having Moon, the queen. Well, of course, the soldier wants to go and do what the king says, but when he sees the queen, he just goes, "Oh, hello, queen." He just goes, "Oh, hello, queen." So it's like that understanding of respect. So that's how that works. But now, say if you had something like, let's get a little bit more out there. Say if you had Gemini and then Aries. Well, you have one being like, and then the Aries is like, can you just stop? Please stop. You just knocked him out. He did not. Shut up.
Right? Yes. So welcome, welcome. It is open spiritual panel. Tonight we are talking about the zodiac sign Taurus. So I know you guys have heard a lot from Bren and I. So Vicky, we're gonna go next. Feel free to share your thoughts and hi.
On, on Taurus?
Yes, on Taurus.
Okay. Well, I have three sons, and the middle one is a Taurus. Yeah, they can, as far as I know, I love astrology and things like that. But as far, he is very loyal to a fault because even if the relationship that he's in is toxic, he will stay in that because he feel it's the right thing to do, right? He's very stubborn. Oh my gosh, I thought I was stubborn, but he is stubborn, and yeah, he's got a big heart, the biggest heart you can find, you know, and
It's kind of like it's how he wants to commit to something and stick with it. Even if it's challenging, he wants to honor that commitment. If
yes,
that's the vibe I'm getting.
yes, and he feels like he can fix people. He feels he can fix it, just like being him, just by being him, you know.
Mm.
And you know, I have learned to step away from that because I've learned that I have to let him walk his path and learn his own lesson. So yeah, and it's a big one coming for him, unfortunately.
It's hard, the earth signs, because they can ground us. And I think a lot of times they'll see, like in personal relationships, how beneficial they are to be around others that are different astrological signs. And so, yeah, they unfortunately can get a couple tough lessons because of, fortunately, can get a couple tough lessons because of their beautiful qualities that they like to share.
Yeah. Well, he's an earth sign and she is an earth sign. She's a Virgo. But she is the opposite there's two opposites for each sign, right? I have noticed that. And she is the toxic side of it, right? She is an alcoholic, right?
Mm.
And she is toxic, but he thinks he can fix her. So that's yeah, it's challenging.
It's that need for
If that
speaking.
that's a challenge, definitely, but really, if he wants to figure that out, I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. But again, gotta understand that when facing that challenge, because that's also the side of Taurus that can get carried away, indulgence in the senses,
Mhm.
that when interacting with somebody that has that challenge, it has to be approached in a way where it is able to understand that it's something much more deeper rooted that may need support from somebody who does have the medical license to do so. But
Yes. So there's been a lot of stuff happening in their relationship, and they have a baby now who was affected by her drinking. Um, so bottom line is social services got involved, and they took the baby into custody, and the baby is back home. So to be honest, I when she doesn't like me being around because I see right through her. I see her manipulations and lies. So she has tried to put a wedge between me and my son, but um, I had to step back so that he can learn his lesson because it's his path. And when we were all, I had a house with my son, and she moved in, right? And it's a long story, but I'm not going to get into that because it's going to take up too much time. But the bottom line is, since she moved into that house, she tried to get me out because of I can I my energy around her, it on levels her. You know, it sees through her, right? And it irritates her demons, so to speak. So yeah. So that's my son. That's how dedicated he is to his commitment. And especially since there's a baby involved now. So
Yes, Taurus are they're very reliable. They really are.
mhm.
And like I was saying, I have the friend who is married to the husband who changes jobs, and she's the stable one. But it does, like, when he spends money and everything, and she's just, you see her eyes roll, and you can see she's having a hard time. They do have that does come about. But yeah, it's that reliability. But
Mhm.
thank you for sharing, Vicky.
Thank you. It just came out. But
Yeah.
thank you
For
for
sharing.
listening.
Yes, yes. So tonight is spiritual panel. This is our 12-week series on the zodiac signs. We did Aries last week. To this week, we are doing Taurus. So welcome, Pathways. Welcome. What would you like to share about Taurus?
Hey, hey. Well, honestly, Taurus is a sign I don't know a lot about. I sometimes feel like, like you guys just said, they're very kind of loyal, very stubborn. I'm a Sagittarius, so sometimes I feel like they're the opposite of me. Like I can be stubborn, but I know when to cut out and peace out and be like, all the more power to you, I'm gone, you know? But yeah, I don't know a ton about Taurus. I actually don't know any Tauruses.
Oh, you might, but just don't know it.
Potentially. There's no birthdays that I'm aware of. But like from like outside people talking and stuff, I almost feel like they're an exact kind of opposite of my sign, in certain senses. But yeah.
Sometimes the earth signs have a very hard time with the fire signs. They don't understand that it's like, I like to explain it this way. When you're a fire sign, you can be controlled and tame and warm everybody. But then sometimes you can be like a wildfire, out of control and massive chaos. So,
Well, that
and,
would describe me.
and earth signs sometimes have a hard time with that aspect that's found in the fire signs and actually also found in the water signs. Because the water signs can be that gentle cup of water that we drink to a hurricane, with massive waves or a tsunami. So earth signs sometimes have a hard time with the fire and the water signs. So a lot of signs sometimes have a hard time with it. Like my daughter, she's an air sign, and my granddaughter's a Sagittarius, and she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, mom, look at this." I'm like, "Yeah, she's a fire sign." I'm like, "She's doing a good job." Because I'm an Aries, so I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it's all good." I love fire signs. But yes, so Taurus can help ground a little bit, but yes, I think sometimes, like, even my friends who are Tauruses, I think sometimes they like think, oh, because like my energy gets really high sometimes, where I get really excited about something. So I'll be like, ah, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So, but thank you so much, Pathways. We're going to be here for a while longer. We are talking, this is our 12-week series on the zodiac signs. So tonight we're talking about Taurus. And when we talk about our earth signs that help ground us, one of my favorite earth signs is Virgo, because of Azrael, who happens to be a dear friend. So Azrael, it is your turn. Feel free to introduce yourself and talk about Taurus.
Hello. He put a smile on my face because as soon as you said Virgo, I knew it was going to be me. I'm a little beat, tired, but hello, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm me. you know, I'm goofy because I'm exhausted. But you know what? I do have a question. I don't have much. Uh, Earth sign with me, including Capricorn, but we're not talking about Capricorn. So Virgo, Taurus, and Caps are similar in many, many aspects. So I can relate to the energy of a Taurus being stubborn and stuff like that. But I learned to be very humble in life. So I am no longer stubborn. But I do have a question, and it relates to the astrology. I am a south node here about being a South Node Taurus. Brand?
And probably says
So,
off the back of his hand. I'll have to look it up.
okay, well, for before I forget too, there was something else that I overheard. Um, Essentially, whoever was saying like about how Sagittarius and Taurus are kind of like it's like two signs that are like are kind of different. I can't remember who said that, but you'd actually be correct, because Taurus, being ruled by Venus in the Vedic system, Venus is a guru, and Jupiter is, of course, a guru also. So you have two gurus teaching two completely different ways to get to divinity. And whenever they try to come together, they butt heads. You have one side saying they have to get to divinity by enjoyment. The other one says, well, they're going to have to clean toilets to get to divinity. So both get to divinity, it's just that they butt heads on how it gets done. So that's where that similarity comes in. But now when we take a look at the South Node, which is known as K2. Well, K2. The best way to think of K2 is a body, like a headless body, and whatever you try to give it, it just goes meh with it. Meh. It's detached from everything. So wherever K2 sits at, that's where you feel like, oh, meh with this. I mean, I can do this if I have to, but it's also where you can see like essentially something you've mastered in a previous life that you're bringing into this one. So in this case for Taurus, what you can be bringing over is this understanding of like, look, I understand how to make myself comfortable. I understand the importance of beauty, comforts, and being secure. I already know all that. What I want to go to is where the North Node Rahu is at, which would be in Scorpio. Which for the North Node in Scorpio, well, that's where Rahu, the North Node, he gets pissed off in there. Because Rahu is like Pac-Man. He wants to go nom 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 and stop eating it. But you're putting it in Scorpio. What's Scorpio? Well, Scorpio is surprise, trauma, surprise, sudden event, surprise, almost kicked the bucket, surprise, well, surgery, surprise, almost gotten taken out, if you know what I mean. So it is unpredictable. So with that balance between those two, like already understanding security, but wanting to have that thrill of like, ooh, that was a close one. But it shows you how, with that axis, when you pursue something that is going to be like a big, like potent way of shifting yourself into a new way or transforming yourself, the more you go towards it and know when to not go all in, too in, like go towards it, but not go like head first into it, but move towards it to see what it can turn into. And then you'll be able to see how you can easily go from one to another to another to another. And once you get to that, it's very difficult to not crave it. But for a Taurus South Node, also being an indication of past life, if we were to take the South Node and make it the ascendant, that would make it a Taurus ascendant, that would show the past life would have something to do with assets, sustainability, and also something pertaining to fixed assets that are able to sustain themselves. So a farmer, you could see somebody being like in a trade or something that require daily routinely work to lay a foundation for something.
Yes, and Azrael,
Yeah, that was beautiful. So, yeah, my question was the South, and you put it together with the North one. So that makes sense. So, what you were saying about the South. So I can easily detach emotions when it comes to stuff that, like you said, because I never understood that. Like sometimes somebody could tell me something and I don't get emotional about it. I could be like, oh, okay. and look for a way to resolve it without being too excited. Is that what you're saying? Like,
Well, because with Scorpio, with having Rahu there, because a South Node, like a South Node Taurus is like, naturally they're at peace. Naturally they're chill. It's like their default. They're in a state where it's like, okay, I'm comfortable. But on the awkward side, because in this axis, you have both K2, the South Node, and Rahu, you have both sides of the nodes pissed off. Because Rahu doesn't want to be going and nomming on trauma. K2 doesn't want to be sitting where there's anything to do with the materialistic, because he's met with it. And instead, he wants to be going within. Anything that's exterior, you can't go in with it because you can't go in something that is outside of you. To go within the self, you have to go within the self. But then that's also where you can take the energy of Rahu and then have it go like pursue by going within with it.
okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. Okay.
so see, Azrael, you're very, very grounded too. With all your earth. So, and maybe that's another reason why you're such a joy to be around. Because somebody like me who's like all over the place because of my fire, and I have fire in a lot of places in my chart. I tend to get
Yeah,
excited.
and that's and and I agree with you. And I'm inside of college, so that's probably why my reception is pretty bad. But yeah, sometimes when emotions and energy is going all over the place, I'm just like still like watching everything, and I can see everything play out. So I guess I'm good to monitor traffic.
Yes, and that's sometimes like some of them, yes, in pathways. So I know because you're the Sagittarius. So I just laugh because fire signs, like I would say Leo would be the only one that doesn't get, they're just dramatic, they're like always on stage. The world is their stage. But then when you've got Aries and Sagittarius, we're the ones that are like, ooh, can we run with fabric behind you while you're doing your monologue? Or ooh, could we light a fire? Like we're the ones that want to do other things. So, all right, we have a question. So, Vicky, how do you know your South Node? There are actually, Brandon and I will share those. There's Astro Cafe. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm blanking. Astro Cafe. Okay, Brent, go.
Astro.com.
All of a sudden that's the one I always
Astro.com.
use, yes.
And crap, I just had it.
I have that.
The
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear you.
So the south node and your north node is literally opposite of south. They will be on any of those. You can also download time passages, and then you'll have time passages right on your phone, which I love having it there because sometimes I'm like, I know some of my stuff like the back of my hand, and some of them I forget.
Okay, time passages. Okay, so my north node is Cancer, so it would be the opposite of that, right?
That would be Capricorn then.
Oh, okay.
And in your case, now this is again using the Vedic like terminology though. You're having now the exaltation for both of them because you're taking the South Node, K2, that had this body that's like meh, work like mundane and status, meh with it. But the thing is that Capricorn is about control, restriction, and being orderly. K2 doesn't want to move. He just wants to go within. So you're putting K2, the body that doesn't want to deal with anything and just be like a statue. So K2 is good with that. So I was able to do the things of Capricorn much easier. But now with Cancer, now this is going to probably ruffle some feathers, but again, I'm just rolling with it. Of all the signs, Cancer is the most selfish.
Really?
Yes, because, I mean, look at it this way. A mother will do whatever the heck she has to do to feed her child. She will steal. She will go and just yoink bread out of someone's hand for her child. That's selfish. She don't care about nobody else, but if she has to take for her child to be okay, she gonna do it. And when you put the North Node Rahu in there, well, the North Node, it was originally an Asura. You're taking an Asura, which is quote unquote a demon, quotes. Now you're putting it into the Divine Mother energy. So now hold on.
Well, while we're holding on, we have a question. How do you find out more about your sign if you do not know what time of day you were born? So, Astro, welcome. You know what? I know you might be able to also add some insight into this. So, one thing I like with my husband, he didn't know what time, and his mother didn't know the exact time, but she knew it was in the morning. So, I was able to kind of figure it out. But, Astro, feel free. Do you want to answer that question? And thank you for joining tonight. I know you.
Yeah, I mean, I usually pass by and I listen because what happens is that if I join, I know how long I could stay. And right now, sorry, I took a breath. I'm running right now. And what's actually funny was that today was just like, oh, let me pass by, and I just said, even though I'm jogging, I'm gonna come in. This is South Node Virgo, release of the way that we have things are the way they're supposed to be done. It's about North Node Pisces. It's like the universe is creating it for you. our resistance right now of over analyzing, overthinking, over scheduling, the to-do list, the routine, instead of looking for new ways, see what is it in this routine and checklist that's my crutch. Because the universe is putting it together for you. South Node Virgo, release a 9 to 5 mentality. That's why insomnia. I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, sorry, hold on. So yeah, I'm taking a little jog right now. So I just wanted to join. And how would I find out about that, right? Well, you're talking about certification, right? Recertification charts.
Yeah, birth time ratification.
Okay, so what I do to find out, well, first, I look into the physique a little bit, right? There's a lot you can tell from the moon and from the ascendant in its connection. Then you go through important, it's like timing, using the method of sequence to see certain moments that would align. And as you observe and do repetitive patterns of it, you start to see, you can never say 100%, but 99.9, you can get there, right? Because it might be a few minutes off. I've done a couple of those. But you know what's amazing though, in reality? It's all about the planets. So a good astrologer would tell you that this is your chemistry composition, because see, the ascendant is just a condition. The planets have power. People give too much power to just the ascendant. It's the queen and the king, the sun and the moon, right? And so when we look into a certification, you can look at it into it through the signs, but just remember that the planets have a way of its chemistry of its own, right? Because there's even a way of understanding that the houses are more important for the outer planets. They give us significance compared to our inner planets. I wanted to talk to you about that, Rowan. It's been a while. Thank you for allowing me to come in.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for coming up, because I know you and Bren are so like, I mean, yeah, I dabble, but you and Bren like more than dabble.
I guess I found my passion at 40, right? Because I've been doing this already for 4 years. So it's where I'm like, okay, I had to risk all my investments and my stuff to, kind of use my savings, because it was about, okay, I need to go, how am I going to become this? How are people going to get to know me? So the investment was putting myself out there on a daily basis, 6 to 7 hours a day for almost a year. This is what gained me, right? And so, you know what's awesome? That it's like, fuck, I could just die today and say I was an astrologer, like to that extent, which I would have not thought before, because, being able to travel like every 3 months for the job I had, living in Strasbourg, all that I'm having now more, because I'm grateful where I'm at right now. It's a comfortable place, but it's about more, because I'm grateful where I'm at right now. It's a comfortable place, but it's about taking Uranus and Taurus is about where are you investing, and you're investing your values. September 7th, baby. That's a eclipse. And that's going to connect to August 23rd with a new moon. One was a womb portal, and this is the crisis moment. Not bad or good. Crises are just an awareness. And during the awareness, you get all the heightened understanding of it, or you can participate. So it's a beautiful moment that we have coming up on this eclipse that was last dated on September 7th, 2006.
Yeah, we've got a lot of beautiful energy in September coming up, because we've got the lunar eclipse first, then the solar eclipse, and it's all about knowing your signs and knowing the energy that's coming so that you can be prepared for it, instead of like having it create chaos in your life.
Even me, susceptible to becoming Karen, because it's so I know that, because I can be higher than thou.
Yeah.
That's what I love about astrology. It humbles man down. And
Yes. I love that. I love that, Astro. I love how you said we have to be careful so we don't become Karen.
Well, because sometimes I like to play Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3, right? And I can, especially now with this energy of like strung out, it's like, holy shit. Like for me, having a Virgo stellium and the South Node passing by there, it's not easy. But it's where we can also see where have you been working out of a function and not out of your soul. We're going to see this is going to help us out because, the duty is Virgo, the heart is Pisces, together they unite. And right now it's about what I've realized is it's going to be in your face by the 7th. Where are you servicing out of duty or are you servicing out of love? That's kind of like the message right now. So I hope that I don't want to take over your lives. Sorry. So I'll just leave that for you guys.
No, you're fine. No.
Even the bigger thing is that got a little leg there, but what I was going to say is that well, if it's being servicing for duty or for love, yeah, maybe both.
For example, like I give my sister a ride at the moment where I don't have to wake up early, even if I go to sleep late. Not my duty, it's out of love. That's a power, and that's why good things come to me. Because if we get kind of like, okay, let's be complacent, go ahead, tell me how that comes out September 7th. I'm not here because Brent, you're amazing. But remember, right now, duty is South Node Virgo. The universe is creating that for us, So I just gave an example because I had to think about this. I'm like, okay, I don't have to, but this is the way I can connect with my sister. I'm just saying we all can do that, right?
What's your question, Ezra?
The question is, so you mentioned service out of love or service out of duty. Can it be combined together and become like a passion? You're servicing because of passion.
Yeah, but if it's already in your mind because of duty, that means it's part of your routine, and that's not part of the gig. It will become that. And like I said, take it because Rowan like connects, right? My Taurus moon sister. And it's about just that. Doesn't mean it's like, okay, it's going to be duty. But what I mean is that right now, it's going to be duty. But what I mean is that right now, it's like codependency is masking as responsibility.
Yep. There's a difference.
Sneak in like that. Like you said, it can easily sneak in, and it's codependency, but we assume it's responsibility, or vice versa.
It's like I've been feeling this all as a collective and working with the temperature. Man, do you have the power? So yeah, Azrael.
So we have a question, and you know what? Yeah. The better, yes, Azrael. I finished your sentence for you.
No, sorry.
So we have a question. So the question, and it was
My last
I
stop.
would like Brenda to answer. Oh, fun! Look at that. Nice big question. So the question is, what do you feel is coming? A huge shift in energy because we've got the lunar eclipse and the partial solar eclipse, but we've got the planet alignments it's just this year has been crazy with how the planets have been aligning. We're going to see, and if you're having people who are having a really hard time coping with it, and like Astro said earlier, we need to like watch our Karen, and I love that. So it's take that minute to take all of the things you've learned spiritually to stay calm and grounded, and to do things people cannot handle the alignment that's already starting. So, Bran, I'm going to let you answer it, and then we'll let Astro answer it. You answer it, and then we'll let Astro answer it.
Okay. So looking at what I'm seeing, well, in the next month, you'll see, well, for one, you have, and keep in mind, this is going exactly 30 days from like today. So what I'm seeing, let's see, Saturn would still be retrograde, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto would still be retrograde, everybody else would be direct. And, well, Venus is going to be with the South Node. And that can ease, well, wait, that's in house. Oh, well, in that case, okay. So with Venus and K2 coming together in that regard, be very aware that there might be something that goes on that may involve, how am I going to put this? Things pertaining to, like, say, the medical field that, like, for example, midwives or things along those sorts, or something that is being able to use the hands to heal. There might be either something being cut off, or there might be a reunification of something that was once there but is not. And let's see, Jupiter will still be in Cancer, and okay, so also there can also be potentially individuals using the wisdom that they've obtained and using it in a manner where, while they're trying to be using it in a way that's medicinal, like trying to be more beneficial with it, but there might be instances where some people may be thinking they're doing the wise thing, but instead what they're doing is they're using it in a venomous way that is kind of being dogmatic with the way that they're trying to guide people. That's could be another one. Then the North Node, Rahu, and also pretty close, but still a 10-degree difference. Rahu and Saturn are going to be close together in Pisces again. So that's essentially Saturn, which, of course, this is with just being able to see with a visible eye. You have Saturn, the farthest planet that can be seen without anything added to it. Then you're adding his shadow on top of it, which is Rahu. So things pertaining to the spiritual. There can be quite a lot of instances where you see people being to the effect of, well, I don't need to prove my way of practice or anything to you because I know it's real. But we're just asking because we're curious. I don't have to tell you because, but at the same time, rebellion, there could be instances of pushing back, defiance, or complete flat out people indulging in, say, things that make you get intoxicated. And that can possibly show pharmaceutical things may get wonky and cray out of hand. Yeah. That's what I got for now.
All right. So Astro, I'll let you talk about all the fun stuff coming up and then we'll go to Vic and Azrael on that. Yep, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Drop out and come back up because there's a massive delay. Okay. So let me do that right now and then bring me back up. Okay. Drop out and come back up because there's a massive delay. Okay. So let me do that right now and then bring me back up. Okay.
Yeah, you touch on anything, like if you've seen anything, because I know you and Azrael said, you guys are still kind of babies in astrology, so please feel free if you've seen any, because that's just it, is we notice those changes. So please feel free to take the floor while we wait for Astro to come back.
Well, I like astrology, but you guys know much more than astrology, but you guys know much more than I do in that, But I have had visions, and I know there's something coming in October. Something's going to happen in September. Like what the media is telling us, like there's going to be chaos or whatever, or a big disruption. It's more like spiritual and inner shifting for a lot of people. So that's what I see.
Yes, it will be, and it's gonna be how someone accepts it, and like, just, I'm gonna put a spiritual twist on it, because some people are spiritually, like a lot of us in spiritual TikTok, we're like trying to spiritually evolve, and so we're gonna see the people who are spiritually evolved are gonna be able to handle things a little better than those that aren't quite ready yet, and we can't force it on them. We just have to learn how to handle it, like how to handle, make it so that their energy doesn't affect us, because some people are going to have a really hard time. They're going to come across frustrated, angry, sad. We're going to see all sorts of emotions, and then we just have to figure out how can we just deal with what they're sending our way so that it doesn't affect us in a negative way.
Exactly. And those that won't accept the nudges that is, or their soul is giving them, they're the ones that's gonna have a hard time, and they're going to oh man, I mean, us as a collective, we're gonna meet, and I have been feeling their energy, and especially people that we're connected to on a soul level, right? And we will feel those shifts in them. So for the last month, I have had to pull back my energy from some people, out of love, because it's their path. It's not I cannot carry that for them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna have to be diligent and discern in what we do.
Yes, we will. Okay, so am I glitchy, Vicky and Azrael? Because Pathway says that my live is glitchy.
You keep sticking sometimes, but other than that, it's okay. You're good now.
When apartment complex gets home, I noticed that my bars are full right now. So I'm like, my bars are full, but so, all right, we won't worry about that. So I'm sorry for anybody that's being an issue with it being glitchies, but Azrael, anything you want to add? You're still probably out and about too. Can you hear me, Azrael? We have lost Azrael, because I know he is still out and about also.
Sprint.
Yes, we did. so, so with that, I want to thank everybody for the hearts, and everybody who gave gifts to everybody on panel tonight. Gifts are always appreciated, never expected. We don't have as many hearts as we did Tuesday, and this is a fun panel talking about the astrology, talking about Taurus. And, I don't mind that we actually veered away with what's coming up, because like what is coming up in September is going to be kind of crazy. So it is all a matter of how we deal with it, and we have the tools. I really want to encourage everybody, pull your astrological chart and look into it. And please feel free to reach out to myself, Bren, or Astro if you want like more details. So if you're not following them, I don't know if they're going to be coming back or not. Sometimes we have fun with the internet. Sometimes internet's not fun, but so Azrael, are you back?
Looks like he is.
Yeah, his camera's on, so you're inside still.
The college, there's like a kitchen right here. Yeah. so we can watch the students do their work. Yeah, but
Can't make
yeah,
sure
it's
they're not dropping food on the floor.
yeah. So I'm almost out of here. This is the front door. So,
Oh, sometimes it's
but
it's
yeah, great
true. I
discussion.
remember when my daughter went to school there, I remember I could never, like, she couldn't even text me to say, where are you parked to pick me up when she was in the buildings. Oh, there we go. Azrael's car.
Yeah, so I'm here. I made it. You know. So, but yeah, I was telling Astro a couple days ago. Excuse me a second. Um, strange. The weather inside there is different than out here, and out here my throat instantly started to itch. Um, Rowan, you know me for a long time, and I never talk about astrology. And a couple years ago, especially like the moment I was coming to TikTok, I was drawn to buying this astrology book, and it was a blue book with, it had, I think in front of it, it had the planetary, but it was made out like a globe, and I opened it up, and I'm like, what in the world? I couldn't understand nothing, but something drew me to getting that book, and I really wanted to get into it, but it was just so discouraged, because I don't have no mentors. Didn't know anybody that really was speaking about astrology. So I got discouraged. It was a brand new book, just fresh out the package, and I put it back on eBay, and sure enough, somebody bought it for the price that I purchased it for. And I'm like, now that I think about it, we talk about shame and regrets and stuff like that. And maybe it's, I do have regrets because maybe, after the hard work, it will pay out, and the more and more that I've interacted to the astrologies, because it's astronomy and there's also astrology, and I've learned a lot, especially from Astro and Bren, and the way that they they speak about it and how they put everything to flourish. How everything it all comes together once you start to realize that, like everything else, it's just symbols. It's representing us as the human being, you know. And we talk about the Taurus tonight and how we're talking about it, and it is represented by an animal, but also has the energy of the earth and so forth and so forth. Just like my south node is a Taurus. But yet, when you really think about it in the aspects of the Taurus field, the Earth got one, the Taurus field, and so does us. Each individual has our own Taurus field, and depending on the astrological point of it or the representation of it, then we can actually interpret it and utilize it and have more control of it. So it's very, very, very deep. Once you delve into astrology, because it really shows our rhythm. Each one of us is unique in our own aspects, but yet each one of us is designed with the same attributes. We all have eyes, we all have legs, and so forth. Unless mere accidents where an individual can be born without a leg or something. But in actuality, we're all born just perfect the way that we are. If we're lacking of one, we might have something else that we are making up for. If I'm missing a toe, trust me, I'm going to have ears of that are going to be super powerful. So nothing is overcompensated. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. The only thing is us, through our experiences, we gain a thing which is called understanding. Because we can have infinite knowledge, infinite wisdom, but what is knowledge and wisdom if we don't have the understanding of it? And that's the key factor. And through the astrology, I've learned so much, but yet, what? I never thought about it, and I feel like, darn it, I spent so many years of my life not knowing about this and being aware of this. But you know what? We are in tune, just like knowing the cycles of the moon. It becomes second nature. Every given moment, I know where the moon cycle is already, and knowing that, lets you know exactly how everything and all happens. Because, you, me, all of us could be put in a cave. All right. We could be put in a cave and no access to the clock or anything, and walk outside and we can see the sun and say, you know what, it's noon. And how do you know it's noon? Because where the sun is at. And that's the same example of all this astrology. Once we can associate and understand where these planets are in the sky, then we can relate to any given thing, in our surroundings, in the way of nature, which is the physical form. But then when it comes to our body form, the same scenario. We can relate to the solar plexus. We can relate to every aspects of our body as it relates to a celestial being up there, a planet up there, and so forth and so forth. And the greatest gift that astrology has given us is that every night that we look and the sky is clear, we can see these stars, we can see these planets. It's like a black chalkboard, when we go to school, and everything is written for us in the skies. All we got to do is stop, be observant, and listen. The skies are seeking. The sky is the chalkboard. It's like the teacher, divine, the creator, whoever, whatever created us, whatever everybody believes in, put everything in the skies for us to take a look at it. And from there, we can interpret it and actually utilize it to become a better version of who we can be. If that makes any sense. And I know I'm blabbing. I don't know if you were supposed to go. I don't know what's happening, but it's 9:46.
No, my phone. I usually have my phone charger. I had to just grab it because I noticed it's depleting. So, no, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Azrael. I love that you shared that. One thing I want to touch on, like you were talking about how you got a book and it was kind of cumbersome. And a lot of times when we are studying something, especially astrology, if we pick up a book that seems really like overwhelming, we just need to baby step backwards and we can find out like an easier book. So those who are fairly new to astrology, a book I would recommend, and it's just going to give you the basics, but it's a really great book, especially if you don't know anything or you know very little about astrology. It's called Astrology, and it's by Yasmin Boland, and it's produced by Hay House. And actually right now it's 20% off on Hay House's website. Yasmin Boland, she also did the Moonology book, and she does the Moonology Oracle deck. So, and it's just that baby step. So if you don't know astrology, it's the perfect book. It literally is going to walk through how you can figure out how to read your chart. Now, it doesn't give you a lot like on each thing. So if it says Moon in Taurus or Aries or whatever, it's just going to give you like a little paragraph, but it's that little baby step you need to jump in. And then you don't need to feel so bad if you happen to get like a harder book, because I have a couple astrology books that I've read that were really, really, I was like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? And it's like you build yourself up and then you can go back to those harder books. So
Well, that's how it was, and I ordered it not knowing it, and it was more than a book. It was like a manuscript because it was so, it was regular size book, and yet, soft cover. And if you hold it, it bends over. That's how many pages it was. And it had like the artwork, like the artwork where they show the chart. And, I don't know if you ever been to Astro's page where he has like the star and all these things connecting. So it was very sophisticated. I was like, no way. I don't want to, what am I doing with this? I entertain myself with so much other stuff. This is the last thing I need, is to overwhelm myself, because that's like was out of my league type of stuff. It was like way out of the league. It's like me trying to be a doctor and I don't even know the first thing of being a doctor.
yeah, and it can be overwhelming. One thing that because as I started my spiritual path, I'm like, oh, I want to learn this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And then what I discovered, because my heart belongs to crystals, botanicals, and astrology. And I was like, you know what? Even though I want to learn chaos magic, and I want to learn this and I want to learn that. And I shouldn't say that because I also love divination. So divination has to go in there too, because I do love runes and tarot and oracle cards and Lenormand. So, but I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm concentrating on my tarot, my runes, my Lenormand, astrology, botanicals, and crystals. And, other stuff I've kind of touched on a little bit. Because there's so much for us to learn. And boy, I'm like, as soon as I feel ready, I'll add something else to my repertoire. And some people will only concentrate on one thing, and which is fabulous because they're the ones that we love to go to learn more. Like Astro and Brent, I love and appreciate both of them because they do know so much. And the little bit of study that I've done compared to how much study they've done, I learn a lot from them. So that's another wonderful thing about spiritual panel is we can learn so much from everybody in our community, and it's about learning and not forcing our beliefs on others. So I think that's like something that's so important for us.
And I agree with that. And I agree with you on that one. And that's why, I come to the conclusion, and I've been emphasizing it more and more on a lately basis, that, as kids or wherever we are in life, it could be television. We're always reminded life is not what you know, it's who you know, type of scenario. While we're entertaining ourselves, meaning educating ourselves and learning those things that make us unique. The same scenario, somebody else is doing it. But yet, when we combine it together, I meet you and combine my skills and knowledge along with yourself. Vicky comes along. Now we're a triad of knowledge. Each one walked their own journey in their own aspects, yet our own perspectives. But you know what? I don't need to know everything, because you know what? Together, we're better. We're superheroes. We each got our own unique gifts, and yet we have the answers within this. And that's what life is all about. The more individuals we're able to grow together as a collective, the bigger and smarter we become, the more unified we become, the more all-seeing. And, and these things now we're becoming, elevated. We're ascending together. We're ascending masters.
Yes. I love that. Yes. That's so beautiful. So tonight's spiritual panel was on Taurus. And yes, we did veer a little bit away because we do have a lot of really amazing astrological things coming up. And it is going to be how we can cope with it with our sign and the big three that we have. And I love how, I can't remember if it was Brent or Astro, but our sun sign and our moon sign are the king and queen. I loved how they said that. And then we have our ascension, and we do need to know our ascension. And when you know those three, it's really important for us, especially when you know those three for the people that are close to you in your life, like, significant others, your children, your siblings, your parents. That's really important to know because it can help you grow. So yeah, we've got a lunar eclipse, solar eclipse. We also have fall equinox coming up next month. We've got all the retrogrades still that Mercury is direct now, but Mercury in retrograde will be back in November. So, we will have, but there's a lot of planetary things that are going on right now. And so next month will be crazy if you haven't already noticed, because we're getting close to this eclipse. And so some people are having a hard time handling it. And then you're going to find some people who understand it. And it's all a matter of understanding how the planets are aligning and what energy they're sending our way, on how we can accept that energy and use that energy within ourselves. And then we give off a beautiful energy versus frustration, anger, sadness, which we're going to see a lot of that depending on how people handle it. And so you just need to kind of go with the flow, take a deep breath when you run across it, because we will run across it. So I think we're going to wrap up for tonight. Next week, we're going to be talking about Gemini. We'll probably go in more details about what's coming up, because it is going to be really, really crazy in September. And next week will be September. So Vicky, any last words, anything else you'd like to share before we go?
I just want to say thank you for letting me up here, and I love your energy. You're amazing. So is Azriel and Bren. Yeah. So no, there's nothing else. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for joining. It was a pleasure having you on panel tonight. So, and then for those that don't know, Thursdays and Sundays are open panel. Tuesdays not, because that's Tuesday Tarot. But Thursdays are always spiritual panel. Right now we're doing the 12-week series on astrology. And then Sundays are witchy book club. So this week we're talking about the Will of the Year from the book The Spiral Dance, chapter 12. So Azriel, any last words, last thoughts before we say goodbye? I won't forget that. We'll give them a second in case. We'll give them a second in case, because I know like on the cell phone. Well, Azriel, as always, I love having you on panel, and he's one of my moderators. So Bren and Azriel are my two moderators, and I enjoy and love having them every week. So I will be live again on Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, we'll be doing The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. We're on chapter 12 about the Will of the Year. And then there'll be one more chapter, and then we're doing Bren's book on Nyx. So very, very excited for that. So as always, everybody, thank you so much for the hearts, and thank you so much for the gifts. Always appreciated, never expected. And I will see everybody on Sunday.
Thank you.
So merry meet, merry part, bright blessings, and namaste.
Namaste.